Hi there, friends. I'm Vasco. I'm part of the team behind the first global Scrum Master Summit. If you're a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master Summit is a place to learn, to share, and to meet new friends. We will have lots of live sessions where you can meet and network with other Scrum Masters from all over the globe. So make sure you check it at bit.ly/SM Summit and the numeral 21. That's bit.ly/SMSUMMIT21. We have 7 amazing keynotes or more, as we are still organizing the conference as I record this, and 8 tracks that feature people like you and thought leaders sharing their insights and knowledge to help you become an awesome Scrum Master. So once again, check it out at bit.ly/SM Summit 21. That's all lowercase, all one word, SM Summit and the numeral 21. I'll see you on the virtual conference floor. All right, now on to the show. Hello, everybody. This is one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And with us this week, joining us from Ghent in Belgium, is Wouter Gheysen. Hi, Wouter. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. So, Wouter is a creative generalist with a broad area of interest beyond agility, a focus on people and working with teams. He is a coach, a guide, a lifelong learner with a keen interest in facilitation, design thinking, and systemic coaching. Wouter, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Well, actually, I heard the term Scrum Master the first time around 2010, 2011, when I wanted to take a coaching course. And I'm working in IT, always have been working in IT. And they advised me to talk to another person, another IT guy who took the course, the coaching course. And he used to be a Scrum Master. So that was the first time I heard the term. But at that point, I was working more in service delivery management. And Scrum Master was really somebody working with software teams, software development teams. So I didn't really pay attention to it. But in 2014, I got a new assignment as a consultant, and it was a team lead and project manager for a Scrum team. And at that point, I've been working 1 year or a bit more than 1 year with that team. I really realized the power of Scrum and Agile. So it was also one of the best teams I ever worked with in my career. And from that moment, I began to read more and more about Agile and Scrum. And my next assignment was actually as a Scrum Master in a big bank. And from there, I never looked back. So for the last 5, 6 years, I've been working as a Scrum Master for different clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a very common story of how we get started. Not all come from the same background, of course, but we gotta get started first. We experience one team, we start to like the approach, and then it's very hard to go back. Did you end up taking that coaching course, though?
Yes, yes, yes. I did a 2 year training course on coaching, mainly business coaching and working with teams, team coaching.
Absolutely. That's probably one of the things that is very, very useful for Scrum Masters. And maybe it plays a role in the next story. Who knows? So, Wouter, today is Monday, Fail Monday, as we like to say here on the podcast. And we talk about a story where you, as a Scrum Master, at that time you were in your learning journey in a moment where the challenges were just too difficult. So tell us that story. We'll dive into the learnings later, but tell us that story first, Wouter.
Well, one of my big learnings at the beginning was to learn to work at the rhythm of the team. Because if you enter as a Scrum Master or Agile coach in a team or an organization, and you have already some kind of experience, you have some coaching courses, you want to change everything. You see a lot of things that could be improved, or that the way of working could be changed in a better way. But yeah, there's a temptation to rush and to change things in a very short time of period. But I learned to really listen to the team. How is the team doing? Take time, learn to know the team. And a tip I got from a friend of me, he told me, if you enter a new assignment, the first 2 weeks, just listen and look carefully how the team is working, what they are doing, and then slowly you can suggest some adaptations, some improvements. But it's really important to really listen and look at the team. I don't want to force anything, because one of my co-scrum masters at the bank where I was working at the time, he came in, he had followed the scrum master course, and he wanted to change everything in the first week. And what happened was, after a few time, he was kicked out because the team didn't like him. He wanted to change everything very fast. So it's really listen to the team and work on their rhythm. That's something that I really had to learn, and I'm really looking to it always when I enter a new assignment.
Now, when we hear something like that, it's very easy to agree, right? I mean, work at the rhythm of the team, don't push too hard, etc. Those are things that are very easy to agree. But when we are in the middle of our own, I dare to say, very committed effort to help a team, sometimes we kind of lose sight of whether we are or we aren't pushing too hard. Wouter, when you look at that story of that Scrum Master who was pushing too hard, and when you look at your own work, how do you stop yourself from pushing too hard? How do you detect when you might have, as a Scrum Master, tried too hard?
Well, it's listen to feedback, talk to people, ask them honest feedback. Of course, you need to build some kind of trust with the team members, so that they provide you honest and real feedback. So that's one kind of thing. But also through my coaching courses and my systemic work, where you really look at things that are hidden, I can notice and feel how people are reacting to me when I'm going too fast, when I'm going too slow. It's really finding that balance and see what people mean. Often they say things to you, but you also have to listen to the meaning behind the words. And that's also something that you can learn a lot from. And what I also like to do is, and now in Corona times, that's a bit more difficult, is just look at how the team is working together, what they are doing. Are people coming together to talk like in the little corners, or how is everyone behaving in the room? These are also ways where you can see, yeah, I'm doing the right things, or do I need to improve or adapt myself?
So one of the symptoms, I would say, that I have seen in my career when we are pushing too hard is when ourselves, as Scrum Masters, we feel there's the so-called resistance. I'm sure we'll talk more about that later this week. But when we feel there is resistance, it may be because there's a good reason why there's resistance. And we very often tend to look at resistance as some kind of obstacle to our work, which it probably is. But it's an obstacle that makes sense from the team's perspective. And I think that that's one of those symptoms that, you know, when I find myself thinking, there's a bit of resistance from there, maybe it's time to step back to reflect a little bit and ask, okay, what am I trying to do? And who could I talk to understand why the resistance makes sense? That's one of the symptoms I look at. How about you, Wouter?
Mhm.
What other specific symptoms do you look at in order to know if you are or you're not pushing too hard?
Well, resistance is indeed very important. Of course, at the moment itself, it's not nice if people are very resistant to the things that you are doing. But if they are resistant, it means they care. For example, I remember when I entered an assignment in a bank, there were in my team, there was one guy who was really resistant. He had critical questions on everything, on the Scrum board, on the way of working, writing user stories. But actually, if you talked with him, he experienced already a few transformations in his career. He already worked there for more than 20 years. So he has seen already some ways of working coming and passing by and go away. But the fact that he really was resistant, he also expressed it, that he was very critical. it helped me to align with him, to talk with him, and to improve and to work on his mindset. And after some months, he was one of the most motivated team members, just because he cared so much by expressing his feelings. So that's something that I really value for team members.
Absolutely. And the story that you just shared is something that I have experienced myself, where someone who's resisting the most later on become the most active supporter of Agile adoption. And that's why very often when I hear Scrum Masters and Agile coaches talking about resistance as a bad thing, I try to pitch the idea that resistance is just one way in which the system is giving you information about what it is ready to take. And it might be that resistance is just the beginning of that journey where we are then doing the real work of helping the people in the system and the system itself adapt to these new ideas, because it takes time to adapt the Agile ideas in any organization that is starting that journey.
That's true. And that's also something that a lot of people forget. And an agile transformation is not something you do on 2-3 months. It takes time to first learn the team, learn the new way of working, and see the improvements, see the little quick wins, and then you can build from it. But it takes really time. And I prefer people that they express their resistance than the fact that they just sit there. Okay, you tell them what to do and they take it and without any criticism. So the fact that they really care is also something good, and you can keep that person then as like a feedback, a way of feedback. If you want to express something new or propose a new way of working, some new ideas, you can always go to that critical person and discuss with him, what do you think about that? Then you get honest feedback, but you also, if he is buy-in, if you have his buy-in, then you know you're on a good path, and then you probably the rest of the team will also follow.
Yeah,
So
it's like a barometer, right?
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Wouter.
You're welcome. With all pleasure.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests helped their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.